Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. Welcome to today's webinar session. It is called Break Down Silos and Let the Value Flow. It is about how the Phoenix Project DevOps simulation can show you how to successfully deploy IT projects. My name is Alexander Mazurek with Quint Wellington Redwood, and I'll be your host during today's session. Now that is my halfway smiling face over there on the left, along with today's presenter, Kevin Romine. There's a few things to cover and let you know before we get started for those of you who are new to us. You are muted, obviously. We're not, so we cannot hear you, but you can make yourself heard. There is a questions panel on your screen in which you can ask a question during any portion of this webinar, and then we'll have a designated session at the end in which I will read the questions aloud, and today's presenter will answer them for all to hear. And last off, we are recording the webinar, so of course if you need to leave early, the recording of today's session will be sent in a follow-up email to everyone who registered in the following days. Now there's a couple slides about Quint before I hand things over to Kevin today. We've been in business now for over 25 years, a completely global company. Started off in Amsterdam, but now we have offices on just about every major continent around the globe, and over 200 consultants operating in those 49 countries around the world. We're founding members of two big organizations such as DASA, the DevOps Agile Skills Association, and also the Lean IT Association, that we specialize in those types of methodologies and high-performance transformation. We train 30,000 professionals a year from everything, such as DevOps and Lean IT, but also to more traditional methodologies such as ITIL, Prince2, COBIT, and other things that you see out there in the market. These are our overall capabilities and practices. We specialize in digital strategy and transformation, Lean Agile DevOps, of course, data management, transformational leadership, help people with their sourcing strategy, their governance, risk and compliance, SIEM, service integration and management, and of course training and coaching. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to our presenter today, Kevin Romine. We're glad to have him. Thanks for joining us today, Kevin.
Thank you, Alex, for the brief introduction about us and about Quint. Welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Kevin Romine and I'm a consultant with Quint for a few years now, specialized in both DevOps and Agile transformations. And I'm also one of the trainers on the Phoenix Project Simulation. We've done it with several clients of us, basically on a team level or management level or executive level. It doesn't really matter in that sense to primarily focus on working together and to see what DevOps actually means in practice. So we're just going to start with today's agenda. We have 4 topics today. We're going to start with the typical challenges we see in IT organizations. Then we hand over to why should you do any business simulation. Then the 3 main lessons of the Phoenix Project Simulation, and we end with a small summary and some key takeaways for your team. And on the right side, people who already read the Phoenix Project, it's the famous 3 ways of DevOps, which Kim addresses in the Phoenix Project's book, meaning that the first way is the first one on the top is from dev to ops, to connect it. The second way is to introduce the feedback loop between development and operations. And the third way is the continuous learning. So it's not about the feedback loop continuously between dev and ops, but in small pieces we can continue to evaluate the work and be better at stuff. So thank you. We start out with what is the Phoenix Project. I just mentioned one of the famous principles, the 3 ways from Kim. It's actually a book. It's a famous novel, Phoenix Project by Kevin Burr, George Pafford and Gene Kim. And it's about a small company, it's called Parts Limited, who's in trouble, and the only rescue is to launch the Phoenix Project. And basically the key to success for Parts Limited is to actually work together. And then within this game, you and your team will act in those different roles, which you also encounter in the Phoenix Project book. You need to figure out how to work together to make it more success and to actually launch a Phoenix Project. It's based in 4 rounds, and in those 4 rounds we will encounter different kind of IT projects and IT issues, but you have to make sure to be finished on time and launch a Phoenix Project to make a big success. So this is basically the Phoenix Project. I will also suggest not only to do this game, but also read the book, because it's what I said, it's a novel, so not a typical management book. It's quite fun to read. So our partner in this game is the Gaming Works. They designed the finished project. As you can see, this is one of the part of the portfolio of games they have. They try to design and develop different kind of business simulations specifically aimed at supporting organizational learning, but also on difficult issues. So if you look at the finished project, it's the second line. They try to address business and IT alignment, process management, and service management. Well, in that sense, if you encounter this game, if you do it, we can act on the several areas. So Gaming Works is specialized in this kind of typical business simulation games. Some pictures from the participants we did. As I mentioned before, we already did it. The host running the simulation sometimes. And these are some typical pictures which you encounter. So let's start off with the challenge. I would ask you, do you recognize any of these issues? And then I would, for example, how to apply DevOps principles. As we all know, DevOps is based on some strong principles, but how does it work in real life situations? How do I bring it into practice? Or we all talk about flow. One question is, what is flow? And how do I embed it and use it in our teams? Not only in teams, but in our organization. Or how can you say how to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of your IT department? It's quite broad and quite, maybe abstract, but how do you do it? Well, this could be one of the typical questions you ask, maybe not yourself, but one of the people in charge of your organization, how to deal with them. One of the big challenges we face currently, and it's also faced in the finished project, is that we traditionally are organized around silos. And this is a graphic which shows what a typical organization would look like. We have software business who wants something, then we have system engineering with some kind of hardware, software, and then test and Q&A. I would not say this is specific to any type of organization in the world, but just as a sake of an example, it makes sense. Well, it's based. It's not by coincidence that we organize ourselves like this. On the right side, you see some positive notions on what is effective in terms of silo thinking. But we all know by now, in terms of DevOps, Agile, and Lean implementations, that organizing around silos is a little bit of old-fashioned in that sense. And when we look at DevOps and those silo organizations, what we typically think when we think of DevOps, we focus on bridging the gap between Dev and Ops, right? So development and operations, just put them together into one team and problem is solved. No? Well, partially maybe the problem is solved. However, what we encounter in practice is that if you combine development and operation to one team, it's different cultures, different kind of work areas, different kind of practices. It's already a challenge like that, and it's only one part of the value stream. If we look at this is a typical value stream from some kind of a wish list, call it your portfolio, towards deployment, users who are using it, stuff like that. And somewhere at the end, we have DevOps implemented, but the way towards these DevOps teams is not really fully utilized. So how can you make sure that what we do is based on our DevOps initiatives and make sure that the quality we look for is that the deployment phase is actually what we expect, or anything what the user expects. So we're not trying to. The finished product is not is based on DevOps and it uses DevOps. But we're not trying to be better at DevOps on the IT side. We try to leverage the full value stream from somewhat an idea on a wish list to deployment at the end. So why do you want to do a business simulation in that sense? Well, DevOps needs special training. It's not like a simple check mark or some kind of training or a book, a guide which you can read and then think you are DevOps. It's more to that. What I just mentioned between dev and ops, if you place dev and ops inside one team, you also have already some challenges in terms of cultures, agreements, practices, working together and stuff like that. Imagine that not only one team, but transforming your organization into making DevOps more specific and more effective. So it's more to that than just training. It's special training, and simulation could help in that sense. So looking at the simulation, why should it help? Well, what I just say, one of the issues is, okay, how can we make DevOps principles alive in real life situations? Well, in this simulation, this aimed at bringing the DevOps principles into practice, and that the best thing is that we try to do it in a safe and realistic environment. You can imagine that if you start something new, you want to try it out, feel if it's comfortable or not, or make some errors and then see how it works out. And then this DevOps Phoenix project simulations is perfect for that. Also better understanding the theory from foundation to apply it in a day-to-day work, and also see, okay, what can you actually learn from this simulation to actually start tomorrow in working DevOps. Instead of just, working, when we think of DevOps, it's lots of technique and technology, but there's also a lot of other parts on DevOps which you can use like right away after this session. So the three main lessons of the Phoenix project simulation, what can you expect? Well, lesson one is one of the primary lessons is to visualize your work. These are one of the issues what we face, is that too many business demands, and IT says yes to all demands. I mean, who doesn't recognize that? We have a certain capacity, but nobody knows the exact capacity, and we want to do a certain amount of initiatives, and for some reason it doesn't match out. How can we make sure that we have an overview of what our capacity is, and what is the best thing to do right now? Prioritize. Taking resource of projects, unclear who's working on one project is some kind of additional issues, causing delays, rework, wasted effort, and doing the wrong things. In that sense, trying to visualize your work is one of the key aspects of this game. So, looking at this slide, it helps you, because you can imagine at the beginning of the game you have some kind of IT projects which you need to finish, so which you need to do, which you're working together to deploy at the end. And there are some issues, some unplanned work. So we have planned work, the IT projects, and some unplanned work. So not the meaning IT issues, incidents, stuff like that. But at the end, they need to be fixed, because clients and users and customers waiting for high quality software that's not going to be down in any second. So the trick is in this Phoenix project that you actually learn how to most effectively visualize your work with your team to make sure that we have a constant flow of work through our organization, that at the end guarantees some kind of quality. So if you look at the DevOps card here, we see 60 to 40% reality, so 60% planned work, 40% unplanned work. We saw sometimes we see in practice these kind of percentages allocation of capacity, but where do you base it on? Nobody knows. And where does unplanned work come from? Is it coming from a process? Did it do something wrong? How can we avoid it? How can you prioritize it? How can you make capacity focused on that? So one of the first lessons is visualize your work. Lesson two is, if you have a nice visualization of your work, it's better to create flow, what I just said. But how to create flow? And why is it so important to create flow? Well, one of the issues is, a few issues we encounter in practice is, there's too much work, and you can't always deliver the quality they expected. Incidents and projects who is allocated to the same person, and you can't meet your promise to customers, because somebody doesn't have the time to meet their promise. So it's like a chain of incidents working together. Again, causing delays, rework, wasted effort, doing the wrong things, and reduce business outcomes. So collaborate to create flow. Well, if we look at this example as a small visualization board, we see the planned swim lane and the unplanned swim lane. So the IT issues and the planned ones are the IT projects, right? We can see them and we can prioritize them and focus on them. But what happens is that if we see the work in progress limits on dev and ops, if we just work together in silos, so development is a silo and operations is a silo, we tend to only focus on ourselves. So I don't care about the rest of the value flow. I'm just going to develop my features, and when it's done, I'm just going to throw it over to ops. Well, at the end, if you can imagine from a customer side or client side or receiver of this value, they only care about if it works, not about the amount of features, but that it works and that it's expected quality that they receive. So collaboration between not only the development and the ops in your IT organization, but also the backlog. If you look at the left side, where's the work coming from? That needs to be in line. That needs to be aligned and also work together to see what is the maximum amount of work we can do at the same time to keep the pace going and not have to rework anything or make some kind of errors. And in that sense, as an example, we have the maximum capacity, so VIP, work in progress, on top. That's number is 4. Currently, we have 5 projects in place in this development lane, meaning that we have 2 things. One, they just continue working and throw everything to ops, and they just grab a new project from to do and start working. But at the same time, we have ops working on issues and trying to finish something which is already in place from development. If you only, I'm just going to remind you, if you're only facing about optimizing dev, optimizing ops, and optimizing our portfolio, thinking again in silos, we are suboptimal in that sense, sub-optimization the process. And at the end, we're not expecting the same quality. So working together to bring something from the backlog to change in a fluent way is the best thing to do. And in this game, the finished project, we actually see how that works and if that works and why that works. Lesson 3, the last one, is build quality upfront. Meaning that when we look at DevOps, we think about test automation, stuff like that, CI/CD pipelines and stuff like that. That's good, very good. Start working on it. And within this game, it's like what we see is that quality at the source is the most important stuff. What we see in practice as one of the issues is, too little time to test. The solution must go live, no matter what. Even if it's not tested, just put it into live and then see what happens. And a result of that is that a lot of rework has to be made. So parts of the program of the software which is live doesn't work. We need to go back into the flow and fix it out. And the deployment was later than planned, and users are unavailable for testing. Could be, right? So that's it. Cause of rework, wasted effort, and mistakes going live. It makes more unplanned work. Okay. So what is the takeaway here? Is that to integrate your test into your value stream, your complete value stream, helps prevent passing errors downstream and detects them as early as possible to fail fast and provide feedback. Meaning that in this game, the Phoenix project, you encounter that testing is one testing role. It's one of during the simulation is the basic of quality and success for this game. So ignoring testing in the Phoenix project is one thing. Ignoring testing in real life, doing it too late in the process, doing it not, or just ignore it, has the potential of releasing something that is not of the quality standards we expect and doesn't make any sense for users and causes a lot of rework. So start integrating testing. For instance, start with helping your testers not only focusing on the end of the value stream, but continue them at the beginning of the value stream. So you have some kind of IT project or IT issue you want to fix. Very good. Hand out to one of the IT testers to see when should it actually work for the minimum to guarantee quality. So last thing we address is the key takeaways for your team. We have some key takeaways from previous participants. You can also read them, and we can send you the slides as well. But this is one of the some few takeaways we gathered in this slide. So the importance of setting and managing priorities and project portfolio together with business. That's one of the crucial aspects of success. Use visual management, Kanban, prioritize and manage workload, what I just told you about, why it's so interesting. And also connected to improve estimation of IT and business capacity with using WIP limits, work in progress limits. And get together to agree and improve the end-to-end communication. So these are real life examples of people that see this as a valuable takeaway for the game and use that inside their own organization to be better at working DevOps, bringing projects to life, reducing the technical debt, stuff like that. Yeah. So without the simulation is one part of the story, as Alex already told you. We are one of the founders of the DASA, DevOps Agile Skills Association. And the thing is that the finished product is good to enhance your skills. Okay, how can we work together? And some of the practices, in the sense that, okay, how can we make the DevOps principles work in practice? But I would also say that if you are transforming inside an organization with DevOps, at least have some kind of additional training. To not only see, okay, how does it work in practice, but also see, okay, what is it like in the theory? What kind of reference do we have? Because we have the DevOps fundamentals. It's enclosed with theory, principles, and guidelines in that sense. To have everybody on the same page. If we talk about DevOps, if we talk about transformation, and what does it mean, we have everybody on the same page. And if you have some kind of coaches in your organization, they can start on with the DevOps practitioner. That's more or less, okay, very good that everybody understands DevOps and teams know how to work, but to take it to the next step, on technical level, process level, or maybe on leadership level, what can we do? And then we have 3 specialization trainings. It's more on an expert level, meaning that we have on the one hand, enable and skill, specify and verify and create and deliver. It's meaning that we have certain aspects of DevOps which could be of value for your organization. So if you're looking at courage, team building, continuous improvement, you think of enable and skill. If you're focusing on business value optimization, analysis, architecture and design, you could go for specify and verify. And lastly, if you're looking for, okay, continuous delivery, security, risk and compliance, or any infrastructure engineering, you can say, okay, specialize yourself in create and deliver. How does it work in DevOps surroundings? So for now, I'm gonna see if we are at the end of the webinar. For this sense, I see there are some questions. I'm gonna hand it over to Alex to see if there are any questions right now.
Yep, there were a few questions asked during the presentation, and thanks for joining us today, Kevin. That was a great overview of the simulation and its benefits. The first question that I have here for you, Kevin, is do you need to read the book in order to play this game?
No, not really. The simulation is based on the novel, but it's not mandatory to read the book. You can even not read the book or have any clue about what the book is about and just play the game, because it grabs the core concepts and make it practical. Of course, if you like reading and if you like more about DevOps, you can also read it, but it's not mandatory.
All right, that makes sense. And in your opinion, when would be the right time to do this simulation if you're planning or in the midst of a DevOps transformation?
Yeah, so I would say specifically this kind of simulation should be in the beginning. The same with in any transformation, if you're starting with some kind of training to set up the vocabulary and also the reference for anyone, I would say start with at least the department or area where you try to transform into a DevOps. Start also with the game to see a little bit, okay, how does it work with team bonding and team building in that sense to make more sense. I would say specify it in the beginning, but during the transformation, depending on what stage you are, for example, you want to cross to another department or want to cross to another domain, you can start over again. Yeah.
Great. And Kevin, do you see that this simulation is appropriate also at the management level for management teams, or just really at the base sort of just dev and ops level?
No, not at all. It's like if you see the whole organization, you can do it on team level, you can do it on management level, or even on executive level. We've seen a couple of things. Also, another example of a client of ours which did the DevOps Phoenix project simulation, and it was like a mix between the executive, because it was a rather small organization, executive, management, and team level. They all worked together into the game. And then with a funny thing, because one of the executives told us or told the group that okay, I didn't know that we were so inefficient and ineffective in working together. Seeing this, it could be very helpful into not only do this game but also take it further than that. So I would say it's for everyone who is connected to some kind of value stream. I would say do this game. Yeah, and not depending on executive, management, or team level.
Awesome. Great answer. Just let's take a look at a time, and then just in the interest of it, I think we're going to wrap things up today, everyone. If you did ask a question today and Kevin didn't get a chance to answer it for you, I'm going to forward all those questions on to him, and you'll receive a response through email for your questions, so please don't worry, you will be answered. And just to end things today, thank you all for joining us. As Kevin mentioned, you want to get started with this. He delivers the Phoenix Project simulation, and I'm sure he would be very happy to come to your organization, help you do it. And as he mentioned earlier, it is a one-day workshop, and I think it makes an excellent sort of foundation for DevOps in tandem with the DASA DevOps Fundamentals class in combination with the Phoenix Project simulation. I think it would bring a great basic level for your team, or of really understanding DevOps and getting on your way to really working on your DevOps journey. And you can also go to our website. All this stuff is on there, www.quintgroup.com. And thank you all for joining, everybody. Hope the rest of your day is great. Thanks again.